looking at your competitors all the time anyway.
Saying yes to some things and no to others.
Going through that many staff because we just had the wrong kind of client. That's because I've had the balls to put myself out.
Right, well, it's Stewart Blizard from Insight Advisory Group, and I'm here today to interview a very good mate of mine, Mr. Oliver Wood, leader, entrepreneur, digital agency owner. I really wanted to have a look at the topic with Ollie today of just the diary of a digital agency owner. What does he do in a typical day, week to get done what he gets done? The professionals in some industries look at productivity and getting the most out of days and look at things like time and motion studies. Ollie, opening question for you. What do you do to get so much I know you get done in a typical day or a week?
Yep. First up, get up early. That kind of helps. So in summer, I'm generally getting up at 5:30, at the latest 6 o'clock. I'll go for a walk or a run or a ride. Most recently, I've been doing a fair bit of running. So that pretty much helps with my stress and cortisol levels. Helps me just sort of, also wake up and get ready for the day. Everything's kind of pre-planned. So my calendar has all my everything that's ready to go in it. But then I'll have probably 2 or 3 key things that I'm trying to achieve for that day. So there's, your normal to-do list, so to speak. And then there will be 2 or 3 bigger tasks that I'll be trying to get out. So I'll generally have either Google Notes. I used to use Motion a fair bit, which from a productivity point of view. And I'll really just decide what tasks I'm going to do, what are important and valuable that I'm going to do that have high impact, and what I can obviously delegate as well. And then, of course, you get you thrown those curveballs as you do with staff or things that might go sideways or a client turning up that you weren't expecting. But that's just part of every day. And of course, things that I don't get bumped to the following day. But I try to fill every single minute of my day with something which is somewhat productive. And it is hard because you get pulled in different directions. I'm sure every business owner does. But I feel that time discipline can make or break a business. Otherwise, you just end up burning hours. And you're sat at your desk at 7, 8 o'clock at night. Your missus is calling you to find out where you are. You're not seeing your daughter. You go into the office at weekends. You've done it. I've done it. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. And there isn't a thing as work-life balance when you're trying to run a business, but because you're always thinking. But today's probably a pretty good example. Bang, 7 o'clock at Jandakot, flown down to Bunbury, done what I've needed to do, shown my face, done, some shopping for the childcare centre, flown back to Perth, and we're sat here at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So that's a good example of trying to be efficient with my time. Yeah, because I could have, and now that we do have businesses in regional areas, it's either a 2.5 hour drive, which means I can spend an hour or 2 at most at location, and then another 2.5 hours back, and I'll be cooked. Or I can fly down. I can be there in like 45 minutes door to door, and I can then have a lot more time on the ground, so I can get back, to the mid-afternoon, and even if I want to pick up my daughter from school, which is pretty cool.
Very impressive. I'm continually amazed by how this guy gets so much done. I want to jump ahead. I've got probably half dozen questions for you today. Ones I'll jump down to. You hire a gardener, you hire a cleaner, or an ironing lady, or more correctly, ironing person nowadays.
It don't have to be female.
How do you use that principle to value your time in terms of just how you think about what your time's worth?
Yeah, I guess it was born from probably 2 things. I was sort of finding myself a slave to the garden at weekends, and I was thinking, hang on a second, I'm burning 50, 60 hours a week at work. Coming home often doing some extra work at weekends at the computer because, I get up early before my wife and daughter are up. And then, I'm there in the garden and I'm trying to pull weeds. And I just thought, this. And to be fair, some of my high-performing business owner friends, people you might know, said, Oliver, why are you doing that yourself? And I said, because it saves money. And they're going, yeah, but you need to now start buying time. And they're right. And you only start to realize that as you get a little bit older, that you do have a finite amount of time. And also, what's your hourly rate? So my hourly rate is in the hundreds, I guess. billable, and the hourly rate of a gardener is probably $40 or $50. So it also means that then at the weekend I've got that luxury and that freedom that if my daughter wants to go down to Adventure World, or she wants to go to the swimming pools, I can do that, and also have a barbecue. And also at the same time, you come home, the place is immaculate, which is a very nice thing. Which is actually today the cleaning lady's been, and that's nice. So it was a big change. My wife had the same problem. She didn't want somebody up, and helping out with the house, and she sort of felt, I don't know what the female version of emasculated is, but she sort of felt like she was being put off to one side, and she had to get comfortable with it and taking that help. I also didn't want, for it to sort of be seen that I'm out there being the breadwinner, and then my wife was almost like this, housewife just at home and was changing the kitchen sink. It just sort of felt a little unfair. So that's how that came about.
Okay. One of the other tracks I want to go in is opportunities that you would cease in a day, because stuff comes up all the time, right? And you've got to be ready, available, etc. I know of a story that I'd love you to share, and that's how you made $600,000 in one day. Please talk us through that one.
Yeah, the business in question was Majestic Stairs, and Majestic Stairs was pretty much offered to me over a barbecue during COVID, and I got quite curious of it. I guess during COVID, as the MD of the organisation, I didn't have a huge amount to do. Went to have a look at this business, and it was good. We obviously acquired it, so that, I guess, I was the instigator in that. But I personally was feeling a little bit stupid, because I think we were a year, maybe 18 months into the business, treading water, pumping cash into this thing like it was going out of fashion, and I was starting to regret that decision big time. And I got really frustrated. I was constantly talking with the general manager of Majestic Stairs, Chris, and Paul, the sales guy, and every week talking to him about sales figures and whether we'd won or lost quotes and what was happening with our whip. And consistently we were being beaten by a company down in Cannington, Stallion Stainless, by a significant amount of money. I just couldn't work it out, and so probably out of desperation / frustration, rang the guy and introduced myself, which was obviously a fairly hostile call to make. And everybody had said, don't call him, he's a bit crazy, a bit aggressive, it was all hearsay. And he said, yeah, come see me. Long story short, he was in trouble. The wife opened up the order book, and there was at least $600,000 worth of whip. And we acquired the business the following day, I think it was, for about $30,000 in cash and in readies. They signed over all the assets that they had, which wasn't huge. I mean, it was stock and some vehicles that were fairly dilapidated and a couple of forklifts. But I think even just in that, there was probably 30 to 50 grand's worth of bits and bobs, tools and stuff. So I think, the moral of that story is, look under every stone. It's very easy to sort of put the blinkers on and not go look at things. And you don't know how well or bad your competition is doing. I think I'm seeing that a little bit in the digital marketing space at the moment. There's already a few companies which have gone. And I think there's going to be more consolidation or businesses coming up for sale. There's a particular business that I advertise with, or advertise against, I should say, quite aggressive. They're quite aggressive and have been around for a similar time to PWD. And, they Phoenixed the business a couple of years ago. Well, they can probably only get away with that once, yes, and they're going to come unstuck. So I think it's going to be interesting. But the moral of the story, I think, if you are in a market, you should be looking at your competitors all the time anyways. Is there anybody there that's kind of breaking the mold, doing something different, seems to have some secret sauce? Because they might do, and you've got to find out, you'd be stupid not to find out what that secret sauce is, or, look at it and see whether you can either merge or, because you're going to be stronger as one, right? So I actually went in with the view that, we could merge with them, or, I wasn't necessarily calling up to and acquire him. I was actually just calling him up to see how Bucky was beating us on price because we were getting belted.
Yeah. One thing I love about you is you don't delay, and if you see an opportunity, I call it taking courage pills. That's what we give out little mints at our office, but taking courage pills, just go and do it. And that's it. And that's a great example of how you had the courage to go and just ring the guy up and just go and meet with him and look at what's happened. Saying yes to some things and no to others. Yeah, we get opportunities when we also get opportunities all the time. And how do you decide, what you give airtime and pursue versus those you just go, no.
The pub test for me is whether I think will the novelty wear off or will I regret it in 3 months' time? I have to try to sort of weigh that up. Right. And I'm looking at an opportunity at the moment, which is it's a property play, it's a purchase, and quite frankly, I don't have the money to do it. But I've never really let not having the money stop me. So I will find the money somehow, because to me that is probably my only regret in life in the last sort of 20 years I've been here in Australia is not to have bought more property. It's opened up a lot of doors and opportunities and given me a lot more stability when I've needed to make that next step up in life. So recently I've looked at other investments which were alcohol, breweries and stuff like that. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. G'day, Adam. And I'd love to invest in those businesses because I believe in those people. I don't, it's not that I'm a massive beer drinker or anything like that, but I believe in the person that is spearheading that company. And I looked at one very recently, which is an offshoot of one of the Escalante family. Is obviously well known here in Perth.
PWD,
yeah. And I've then got to go, that capital that I'm going to take, one, how much pressure that's going to put me under by taking that out of my business or out of my personal portfolio. Is it going to have any sort of degree of impact? Is 50 grand or 100 grand actually going to touch the side, so to speak? Is it going to, and do I believe in them? Do I believe in it? Because at this point, when they're a startup and it's almost like an angel play, do you believe in that they're actually legit and they're going to see it through and do what they say they're purporting to do? So I'd love to invest in lots of things. I'm sure you get them all the time, and there's other businesses that I throw at you. Should we start a car hire company in Bustleton because of the domestic flights now going to Bustleton? To me, it's a no-brainer to put a car hire company in there, but there's obviously that capital cost. I know nothing about car hire.
Drove all the way down on the weekend to check it all out, unbeknownst to Ollie, and I've come back and gone, not yet. We'll look at that one a bit further.
It's going gangbusters down there. Yeah. It is. I mean, Bustleton property prices have gone up near on 30% in the last 2 years. I mean, it's massive.
Yeah.
Medium house value there is like in the 800s.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Changing track a little bit in terms of your time still, and I suppose diary. People you follow and influencers, who was the people you follow, and what do you sort of look out for?
Look, there's a few that come to mind. Brad Lee would be one of them. Branson's a lot less active than he used to be. He used to be quite, Gary V. I listen to a fair bit. High energy, good kind of mindset. Cody Sanchez. So she's, pretty strong in her opinions. I used to listen to Grant Cardone a fair bit. Not a fan anymore. I think he's got a little bit arrogant, to be quite frank, and seems to be picking fights with people, and sort of don't think that a person of his position should be bullying people on the internet. So, but in terms of his sort of play and alphaness and things like that, they're the sort of people that I listen to. And that's the trouble with the internet, I feel, and social media generally, is that there's a lot of fakes. And there's a lot of people spouting stuff and making stuff up, and when it's really just an underhand tactic to get you to buy a course or invest in some software and stuff like that. So, apart from doom scrolling, they're the kind of people that I watch and listen to.
Yeah. Hopefully this is just something we're just sharing some random affairs, little stuff.
You listen to.
Oh, look, I'm still a bit old style. I used to have still on with Branson. Yeah, I've got different people for different sources. I'm in the accounting, financial advisory industry, so I have people in my space. So I'm looking for inroads into those people who've built something successful. So we're part of an executive coaching group called Slipstream. I get stuff from Vern Harnish or Gazelles. Some may have heard of them before. They have a particular program or platform, Rockefeller Habits, based on a very successful guy, Rockefeller in America. You may have heard of him. So similar people in that space. A couple of quite successful advisory practices in the eastern states who issued some stuff. Now they've gone down the coaching path, and they've got an agenda. But they're good guys, and they share some good materials. So
I feel that, the real entrepreneurs sharing real stories and real, nuts and bolts stuff of what they actually had to get in and do, it's quite limited, really. A lot of it's sort of quite high level.
Yeah.
You should do this, you should do that. So it's, from a networking point of view, I do enjoy going to WA leaders, especially the industry leaders, and some of the insights that you get from them, because at least you're in a room with people which have walked the same path, are doing some different things. I found with some of the other business networking groups here in Perth that you do end up in, it's more like a, special handshake, and they're just there to try to get business off each other, and they're going there with a sales mindset, not a help mindset, which to me just didn't vibe that well. I'll go in there and I'll be open and help people, and kind of hope to get the same back, which is kind of what we're getting with WA leaders. So shout out to Ruben and Alex for running that.
At a personal level, I tend to take a bit of a top-down approach. We're involved in, our business is involved in lots of different channels, so to speak, and I take a top-down approach. And a good one is use. Share hat to those guys as well, Elton and the team. You just get some corporates in a room, and you sort of work down from there. You've got different, Perth particularly is pretty small, so you bump into people all the time. It does lead me into another track, and that's people you hang around. So I was only talking about this with someone earlier today.
Yep.
They say you become very much like the 5 people you hang around, and I do hang around this guy a little bit. But let me see. What's your experience there, and what you've seen?
I didn't get the whole network is net worth conversation for a long time, and it's so true that it may not necessarily be the people you physically spend time with, but I guess watch and aspire to be, and take inspiration from. So that's been definitely helped me think bigger with certain decisions I've made. So and that sometimes is people I've looked at, because if I talk to my dad or just a mate that I know because we drink together or eat together, stuff like that, but they're a normal person in the fact that they have a normal 9-to-5, switch off, they're living normal life. When I talk to them about what I get up to, they just can't comprehend. And so it's very hard for them to relate, and, they'll start placing doubt in your mind.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I had that with a previous relationship. My fiance at the time was always trying to sort of hold me back, put leisure and pull me back, and was very, very conservative, like too far conservative. And then I sort of found myself second guessing myself. It was horrible. And I was like, no, I know what I want to do. And I had a vision and I could see it and I wanted to go and execute. And then I've got this sort of person on the side going, oh no, what if this, what if that, what if this, what if that? And if you think like that, you end up stagnating and not doing anything. But net worth, getting external opinions and advice, there's no harm in asking and asking for that helping advice. I do that with you a lot. I used to do that a lot with Matthew Paul. He's obviously doing big and better things now, but It is interesting how your and also your personal persona can open doors. This very video and podcast we've been doing, I've had people come up and want to sit down and talk to me, who are multi-millionaires. If not in the hundreds of millions of dollars, and that's because I've had the balls to put myself out there. So I'm also now a big advocate of being out and just documenting your day. This morning, getting in the plane, flying down, doing what I'm doing. People see it, and of course they build up a perception of you in their mind of who you are, and they'll either like you or they won't. Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Well, look, I'm going to wrap up soon. It's I suppose, just some final personal questions here. Anything else at a personal level? I mean, I know you go to the gym. Do you do retreats? Do you sort of have any sort of formal planning time away where you go away once a year or quarterly, or and executing on what you do? What do you do at a personal level when it comes to the year ahead?
Yeah, so I've always got things in mind that I want to do. Like this year is a lot to do with innovation, utilizing AI a lot more, trying to find perhaps acquisition targets in the industry. That was the kind of bigger picture for the year on mass. What we've started doing at PWD is taking our leadership team, and we will go off-site and we'll have a leadership board meeting. And so that's the heads of departments or the key people within the organization. And, so it might be Chris Messina in design, might be Chris Merton in sales, Olivia, my general manager. And it is run like a proper board meeting. So we had the action items from last time, who was supposed to have done them, have they done them, have they not? And these are bigger picture things, because I feel that if you're not, it's very easy to ignore them, forget about them, and they fall by the wayside, right?
Accountability.
Accountability, yeah. And making sure that those things are getting done, because if you don't, you start to stagnate. And I just feel, especially in the digital agency, digital marketing space, you've got a big ship, you're trying to keep it on course, and it's very easy for you to just become complacent and stay with the norm. We run a pretty decent target, and we try to get everybody hyped up and involved in that. Everybody eats if we hit that target. So that's been a big part of big culture shift of the organization in the last 7 years. And to be fair, that was Matthew's doing. I must say, when Matthew proposed that whole remuneration system to me, I thought he was nuts. So I was like, can't even afford to pay my staff at the moment. This was going 7 years ago. And we were living week to week, and now you want me to pay out, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in bonuses. But it just changed the dynamic of the organization. Yeah, so they're probably the biggest things. And I think you've got to try to have your organization on the same, they have to feel like they're included and part of it. We do a town hall meeting on a Wednesday at 1:00. So we're very transparent with that. Our numbers are on the board, our wins, our losses, how we're tracking to targets, how sales is going. So what that stopped was hearsay, whisper, political, groups, little factions forming.
Yeah.
That's the issue when it's got 40 people. You are going to get little alliances and stuff. And I think that kept everybody on the same page. Being transparent. How much have we invoiced? How much we sold? How are we tracking? How much we got left in WIP? We share all those numbers with our staff. And that breaks the norm of what you're told to do, or you think you should do, right? Which is not keep it all quiet, we're very, very open.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of that. It's and obviously Matt, through his time with our firm, is espouses that as well. It's human behaviour is an interesting thing.
It's uncomfortable, and yes, many managing directors wouldn't want to, especially if the chips are down.
Yeah,
things aren't going as well. I think staff, I've had that problem in the past where, I've told perhaps staff some of the bills we've got to pay, be it BAS or GST, whatever it is, or superannuation, and you hear some of these numbers and you can see them just like, yeah, fuck, I need to get on sea. Because they're not accustomed to those kind of numbers being thrown around, right? And it is, what it is as the leader of the organisation, it's your responsibility and job to make sure that ship steers through those waters. I think, anything else?
Yeah, that's probably the main one. I think it was just, and probably you're touching on some subjects that, it might even pick up for another podcast. And that's, around team and incentives, human behaviour, what works, what doesn't, what you do to celebrate, those sort of things. So do you want to pick that up today or another time?
We can. I mean, we do our events. I'm still yet to go karting, which is what I wanted to do. So relocate a few spinal cords.
It's hard. You get C4.
Yeah. But yeah, so we do those. We do try to keep, it's work hard, play hard. And Friday they get to let their hair down. There is the quarterly events that we try to do. Hopefully we'll do one for the April 16th, my 41st. We'll see if the weather's any good. But yeah, I think it's, once you've broken out of the less than 10 employees and you're going 15 to 20 or more, that's definitely one of the hardest, if not the hardest, points of scaling. I think we both know organisations that have just struggled to get past that because they're still at that owner-operator mentality and they've got to replace themselves. And that might be general manager, executive assistant, admin, full-time bookkeeper, potentially even a management accountant over the top of that. And you have to build out your kind of corporate team and you start looking at some of the numbers involved and it gets quite scary, but you can't do everything. I think that's why so many businesses stay under that 2 mil thresholds. They can't scale out of it.
Well, look, let's recap a couple of things. You've shared, a few things you've shared, and maybe I'll lead into a final question about anything else finally you'd like to share. But yeah, there's certainly a diary of a digital agency owner. Yeah, certainly calendar, scheduling, some discipline around also, what you're saying yes to and no to. You said it doesn't, we're going to regret something in 3 months. That's a good little test. I like that. Just opportunities will come up, and what you say yes to. Valuing your time per hour. That's a great one. Based on if you're doing stuff that that you could delegate to a lower rate per hour.
Yeah. Probably the only thing I didn't mention, especially from the sales point of view, is when the chips are down, and they will be, and they'll be down for PWD certain times of the year. Seasonally, they are. December and January are definitely quieter times. Coming up to June 30, harder times. But not becoming desperate, but you then start taking on those bad eggs, those bad clients. And I've been guilty of it. The rest of the sales team has been guilty of it. Is seeing those red flags and just going, no, you're not right for us. And I had a guy quoted recently who I knew we could do good things for, but I could just tell that he was his own worst enemy. He was going to get in the way of himself, and he is the reason he is not where he wants to be, because he just doesn't trust anybody. He's not going to take advice from anybody. He's a bit pig-headed, I think you call it. And I know if I was to sign that client on, he's going to be fretting, even though he's fairly wealthy, he's going to be fretting over, turned about 500, and that. And so he's just putting in a grenade into your account management team as an agency owner. And I think as the salesperson or your sales team, you've got to have that foresight to recognize, the good and bad. And only that comes with experience. And yeah, there was a client recently that we dumped. I literally walked into the meeting, and I actually really like this guy, and I like his products, and he's got a very iconic product which he distributes, and he sells hundreds of thousands of these things. But he just would not listen to our advice. And we're trying to help him. He was like a broken record. And I went, that's it, I've given up. Have your money back, we're walking away. Yeah.
I know a lot of startup businesses would typically just take on any client with a heartbeat, and unfortunately, that's what you have to do. But second time round, or certainly as you grow, I mean, in terms of discipline and time, trusting and following your processes in a business like PWD, ideal client profiles. If it doesn't fit, annually reviewing your annual client list of who you work, maybe grading your clients. Right. So come the end of June each year or whenever you do it, it says you've got to let some go.
Well, you've heard of the 20-80 rule.
Yeah.
Right. 20% of your clients bring 80% of your revenue, which is it was like within 0.5%, exactly what is happening to PWD. And so we started going through our retainers, and we had, all the rats and mice retainers. And then we had, the real retainers, the people that enjoy working with us. It's a two-way relationship. We don't feel like we're getting abused. And it's always those clients, which are the super small ones, that seem to be the hardest work, right? And they want blood out of the stone. And I actually enjoy working with the Aussie battlers and the startups and stuff like that, provided that they understand, the economies of us as an agency. We're not going to be the cheapest in town, but we're going to stand by you and we're going to do the right thing. And if you're an up-and-coming agency or any business, to be fair, especially if you're going to be, you've got the hunter-farmer model, like you go out and sell it and then you hand it off to your team, I think it's unethical for you to sign business just for the dollar value and let all your morals and ethics go, then hand that into your team as a hot potato, knowing full well it's just going to burn them. Because it will. And I did. I churned through that many staff because we just had the wrong kind of clients. We had shitty clients. And what costs more? I've now got to rehire those. I lose more clients because I then have that inconsistency of account management with them. And you just get this revolving door. And there's competitors that I know are there's a competitor of mine on the market at the moment. And I've heard feedback. Oh, my account manager's changed. My account manager, clients get pissed off and then eventually they leave. Yeah, so sure, it's the same with the candidates, I suppose.
Yeah.
This isn't bad.
It's 100%. It's also a principle that, and this might be a bigger topic, but for a business owner to get into a better digital agency or something else and position themselves to do the things the business does, unfortunately, that doesn't allow you to work on. So from a discipline of time and diary topic, it's to not to come to work every day, to do the things the business does all the time, to actually have the courage to delegate and position people and fund that and get to a point where it doesn't just revolve around you. So, and you've shared a bit of that growth story before, and a great one. To have that discipline to do that. So, love that. Cool. Well, we might wrap up with that one. Look forward to the next installment. So whatever we're going to cover next. It's Ollie. Mate, thanks again for today, and we'll look forward to a catch up next time.
Cheers. Thank you.